Corpus Christi is an intriguing festival within the Christian tradition, marked by a wealth of meanings and symbols that often go unnoticed even by the faithful. When we think of religious festivals, we commonly associate them with festive rituals and joyous celebrations. However, Corpus Christi carries a complexity that goes beyond the surface, becoming a true festival of Christ where salvation is celebrated in a profound and reflective manner. Imagine walking through streets adorned with colorful carpets made of flowers and sawdust, representing various Christian symbols. It's an experience that captivates and intrigues, inviting reflection on the mystery of the Eucharist. In Corpus Christi, the procession is one of the most anticipated and significant moments. It is when the consecrated host, the symbol of the body of Christ, is carried through the streets in a monstrance, while the faithful follow in prayer and devotional hymns. This procession is not just an act of faith, but a public manifestation of a deeply rooted belief in the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. This event often evokes a sense of unity and belonging among the participants, creating an environment where faith and community meet in a palpable and emotional way. To better understand Corpus Christi, it is essential to delve into its historical origin. However, before we dive deeper, it's worth reflecting on how this celebration can impact us today. Imagine participating in a procession in your city, feeling the energy and devotion around you. This type of experience can revive faith and bring a sense of peace and purpose. Additionally, it's an opportunity to connect with ancient traditions that still resonate in the hearts of modern Christians, reminding us of the importance of salvation and the sacrifice of Christ. But where does this fascinating celebration come from? The story of Corpus Christi dates back to the 13th century in Europe, where a priest named Peter of Prague faced a crisis of faith. His doubt about the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist led to a miraculous event that would forever mark the history of the Church. This episode is the starting point for understanding the depth and relevance of this celebration. However, before we delve into this historical narrative, think about how moments of doubt can eventually lead to discoveries and reaffirmations of faith that transform lives. Participating in Corpus Christi is more than just following a tradition. It is an invitation to experience faith in a more tangible and engaging way. During the procession, the entire city transforms into a stage of devotion, where every detail, from the flower carpets to the sung prayers, contributes to a unique experience. The presence of the community united in a common purpose reinforces the message of unity and faith, reminding us that even in an increasingly individualistic world, there are moments when we connect deeply with something greater than ourselves. In summary, Corpus Christi is a celebration that uniquely combines history, faith, and community. By participating in this festival, we are not just following an ancient ritual but connecting with centuries of tradition and devotion. It is a moment to reflect on salvation, on what it really means to be part of such an intriguing and significant festival of Christ. And as we prepare to explore the historical origin of this celebration, it is important to remember that every detail of Corpus Christi offers us a new perspective on our own faith journey. The fascinating origin of Corpus Christi takes us back to the 13th century, a period filled with religious fervor and significant events. In 1263, a priest named Peter from Prague was on a spiritual pilgrimage. Traversing the enchanting landscapes of Europe, he carried deep unrest in his heart, a crisis of faith. This moment of doubt about the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist would be the beginning of an intriguing and transformative story. And, as with any great journey of faith, Peter's path was about to intersect with an event that would forever change the perception of the festival of Christ. Peter, during his pilgrimage, arrived in the small town of Bolsena. There, amidst an apparently ordinary Mass, the extraordinary happened. The consecrated host, the symbol of the body of Christ, began to bleed before the astonished eyes of all present. This Eucharistic miracle was a divine response to the doubts that haunted the priest's heart. Imagine yourself in Peter's place, feeling the initial confusion transform into deep understanding and renewed faith. This event in Bolsena not only strengthened Peter's faith, but also became a milestone for the Christian community. The news of the miracle in Bolsena spread rapidly throughout Europe, sparking the curiosity and devotion of many. This miraculous episode not only reaffirmed the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, but also served as a powerful testimony of faith. It is interesting to think about how historical events and miracles can impact our lives in unexpected ways. Just like Peter, we all face crises and doubts that can be overcome through moments of revelation and grace. The miracle of Bolsena is a clear example of how faith can be restored in surprising ways. The miracle in Bolsena was not an isolated event. It triggered a series of events that would lead to the institutionalization of Corpus Christi. The profound significance of this miracle captured the attention of Pope Urban IV, who officially recognized the event as a divine sign. In 1264, he established the feast of Corpus Christi, dedicating a special day to honor the Eucharist. This papal recognition was a crucial step in solidifying the importance of the festival of Christ in Christian liturgy, reminding us that faith is not only personal but also communal and universal. The story of Peter of Prague and the miracle in Bolsena teaches us that faith can be revived in moments of despair. These historical events are more than simple narratives. They are living testimonies of divine presence in our lives. Today, as we celebrate Corpus Christi, we are connected to a rich tradition that dates back to these miraculous moments. Participating in this celebration is a way to renew our own faith and remind ourselves of the importance of salvation, a central theme that permeates the entire Christian tradition. As we reflect on the historical origin of Corpus Christi, it is essential to remember that every detail of this celebration has its roots in significant events of the past. The journey of Peter of Prague and the miracle in Bolsena are powerful examples of how faith can be restored and strengthened. And as we prepare to explore the miracles that mark this era, it is important to keep in mind that the history of the Church is filled with moments of divine grace that continue to inspire and guide the faithful today. Peter of Prague's journey takes us to one of the most extraordinary events in the history of Christianity, the miracle of Bolsena. During his pilgrimage, Peter found himself celebrating Mass in a small church in the town of Bolsena. Imagine the scene, a simple environment, yet charged with an intense spiritual atmosphere. It was there, during the consecration, that the host began to bleed, before the astonished eyes of all present. This moment of Eucharistic miracle was not only a response to Peter's doubts but also a powerful divine sign for the entire Christian community. The blood that emanated from the consecrated host represented a tangible confirmation of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. For the faithful present, it was a visible demonstration of a profound mystery of the Christian faith. Imagine the transformation this vision brought to those who witnessed the miracle. Peter, initially bewildered, found in the bleeding host a renewal of his faith and a call to share this experience with the world. This event was a true festival of Christ, where salvation manifested in an impressive manner. The miracle of Bolsena quickly became the center of attention, attracting faithful from all parts. The small church in Bolsena, once unknown, transformed into a fervent pilgrimage site. The story of the miracle began to be told and retold, each time more laden with details and devotion. The presence of such a significant miracle in an era of great religious fervor helped reinforce the faith of many and expand the reach of the Christian message. The scene of the bleeding host is a powerful reminder of divine presence in unexpected moments. The impact of the miracle of Bolsena was felt not only locally but throughout Europe. The news of the miraculous event reached Rome, where Pope Urban IV saw the need to formally recognize this divine sign. The papal recognition of the miracle and the subsequent institution of the Feast of Corpus Christi solidified the importance of the Eucharist in Christian liturgy. This feast became a universal celebration, reminding the faithful of the real presence of Christ and the salvation offered through the Eucharist. Reflecting on the miracle of Bolsena, we can find parallels in our own lives. We all face moments of doubt and crises of faith, and sometimes it takes a sign or extraordinary event to reorient us on our path of faith. Just like Peter, many people find spiritual renewal in times of great trial. The miracle of Bolsena teaches us that faith can be restored in unexpected ways and that salvation is always within our reach, even in the most challenging circumstances. As we explore the details of this miraculous event, it's important to remember that faith is something living and dynamic, constantly renewed by experiences and testimonies. The miracle of Bolsena continues to inspire the faithful around the world, reminding us of the continuous presence of Christ in the Eucharist. As we delve deeper into the divine influence in Bolsena, we see how miraculous events can transform entire communities, strengthening faith and devotion at profound and lasting levels. The miracle of Bolsena is not the only extraordinary event that marks the history of this small town. Bolsena is also known for the incredible divine interventions in the life of Saint Christina, a young martyr whose unwavering faith inspired many. Imagine living in an era where religious persecution was a constant reality, yet remaining steadfast in faith. Christina faced numerous martyrdoms, each more brutal than the last, yet miraculously survived them all. These events reinforce the belief in divine protection and salvation, central elements in the festival of Christ celebrated in Corpus Christi. Saint Christina was subjected to various execution attempts, each failing in inexplicable ways. From being thrown into a lake with a stone tied around her neck to being cast into a furnace, Christina emerged unscathed, to the amazement and fear of her executioners. These divine interventions are powerful testimonies of the power of faith and heavenly protection. Imagine the scene, the astonishment on the faces of those who witnessed such miracles. Christina's story not only reinforces the faith of believers but also serves as a reminder that in times of great tribulation, divine intervention can be the light in the darkness. The life of Saint Christina is an inspiring example of resilience and faith. Even in the face of the most extreme adversities, she remained firm in her belief, trusting in divine protection. This kind of unwavering faith is something we can all aspire to have. Think about your own struggles and challenges. Finding strength in faith can be the key to overcoming obstacles. Christina's story teaches us that salvation can come in unexpected ways, and faith can sustain us even in the most desperate situations. It's an invitation for all of us to reflect on the role of faith in our lives. The miracles associated with Saint Christina had a lasting impact on the town of Bolsena, transforming it into a center of devotion and pilgrimage. Faithful from all parts came to see the place where so many divine interventions occurred. This constant flow of pilgrims helped establish Bolsena as an important site of faith, where the presence of miracles and salvation was tangible. Christina's story intertwines with that of Peter of Prague, creating a rich and deeply spiritual narrative that continues to inspire the devout to this day. The faith demonstrated by Saint Christina and the divine intervention she experienced are clear examples of how belief in something greater can transform lives. Just like Christina, we all face moments when we need strength and courage to move forward. Her story reminds us that salvation and divine support are available to those who believe and remain steadfast in their faith. It is a powerful message that resonates through the centuries, encouraging us to keep our faith alive, especially in times of adversity. As we explore the divine interventions in Bolsena, we see how these stories of faith and miracles shape the spirituality and devotion in the region. Saint Christina, with her numerous miraculous escapes from death, exemplifies the divine protection that many believe is present in their own lives. And as we approach the papal recognition of the miracles, it is evident that these stories continue to inspire and strengthen the faith of countless people around the world. The divine intervention in Bolsena is a constant reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope and salvation within reach. Want to delve even deeper into biblical themes like this one? Check out our exclusive ebook in the comments. It offers detailed analysis and spiritual reflections that complement this video. Don't miss out. Download your copy now. The story of Bolsena and its miracles could not remain unknown for long. News of the Bleeding Host miracle and the divine interventions in the life of Saint Christina quickly reached Rome. It was then that Pope Urban IV, upon hearing about these extraordinary events, decided to act. In 1264, he officially recognized the Eucharistic miracle of Bolsena and established the feast of Corpus Christi. Imagine the impact of this decision. A papal recognition that not only validated the faith of Bolsena's faithful but also reinforced the importance of the festival of Christ in Christian liturgy, bringing a new meaning of salvation to all. The papal recognition was a crucial milestone in the history of Corpus Christi. With the authority of Pope Urban IV, the festival gained a new dimension, moving from a local celebration to a universal feast. This act was not just a gesture of validation but also a strategic move to reinforce the doctrine of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. It is interesting to think about how an administrative and religious act can have such a profound impact on the faith and practices of millions of people. This papal decision transformed Corpus Christi into a true festival of Christ, celebrated throughout the Christian world. Pope Urban IV was not alone in his decision to institute the Feast of Corpus Christi. He had the support of great theologians and church leaders like St. Thomas Aquinas, who contributed hymns and prayers for the celebration. These writings not only enriched the liturgy of the feast, but also helped communicate the depth and meaning of the Eucharist to the faithful. Imagine attending a Corpus Christi Mass, hearing the chants and prayers composed by one of the greatest theologians in history. It is an experience that strengthens faith and deepens the understanding of the mystery of salvation. The official institution of Corpus Christi by Pope Urban IV also had a profound impact on the Church's liturgical and devotional practices. The procession with the consecrated host became a central element of the celebration, symbolizing the real presence of Christ among the faithful. This practice not only reinforces Eucharistic doctrine, but also promotes a sense of community and unity among participants. Think about the symbolic strength of seeing the host, the body of Christ, being carried through the streets, blessing the places it passes and gathering the faithful in an act of public devotion. Pope Urban IV's decision to recognize and institute Corpus Christi also had a lasting impact on architecture and sacred art. Churches and cathedrals throughout Europe began to be decorated with Eucharistic themes, celebrating the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. A notable example is the Cathedral of Orvieto, whose construction began in 1290 to house the blood-stained corporal of Bolsena. Religious art and architecture inspired by this event continue to be a powerful expression of Christian faith and devotion, constantly reminding us of the miracle and salvation. The papal recognition of Corpus Christi was more than a simple administrative act. It was an affirmation of Christian faith and doctrine. By establishing this feast, Pope Urban IV ensured that the miracle of Bolsena and the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist would be remembered and celebrated for generations. And as we prepare to explore the theological contributions that enriched this feast, it is important to remember that each papal decision, each act of recognition, strengthens the structure of faith and provides the faithful with a deeper understanding of the divine mysteries we celebrate. The theological contributions to Corpus Christi are a fascinating chapter in the history of the Church, highlighting the depth and richness of this celebration. Among the theologians who most influenced Corpus Christi, St. Thomas Aquinas stands out as a central figure. Imagine the scenario: one of the greatest intellectuals of the Church, dedicating his talent and wisdom to composing hymns and prayers that express the magnitude of the Eucharistic mystery. His dedication resulted in theological masterpieces that still resonate in the hearts of the faithful today, reinforcing the importance of the festival of Christ and the salvation it represents. St. Thomas Aquinas composed hymns like Pange Lingua and Tantum Ergo, which have become essential elements of Corpus Christi celebrations. These hymns are not just beautiful musical compositions, they are profound expressions of Christian faith and doctrine. Imagine yourself at a Mass, listening to these melodies echoing off the walls of an ancient cathedral, each note filled with theological and spiritual significance. The music and words come together to create a worship experience that transcends time, connecting today's faithful with past generations. The prayers and hymns composed by theologians like St. Thomas Aquinas help solidify the doctrine of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. For the faithful, these compositions provide a means to understand and contemplate the divine mystery more deeply. Imagine the depth of faith required to believe that Christ is truly present in the Eucharist. These compositions serve as a guide, helping the faithful to dive deeper into this mystery and to feel the divine presence more tangibly in their lives. Besides St. Thomas Aquinas, other theologians also contributed to enriching the celebration of Corpus Christi. Each, with their own perspective and understanding, added layers of meaning and devotion to the feast. These theological contributions not only explained Eucharistic doctrine but also helped shape the way the Eucharist is celebrated and venerated. Think about the diversity of thoughts and insights that have enriched this celebration over the centuries, creating a rich and complex tapestry of faith and devotion. The theological depth of Corpus Christi is also reflected in the liturgical practices associated with the feast. The procession with the consecrated host, for example, is a physical expression of the doctrine of the real presence of Christ. During this procession, the faithful have the opportunity to adore and contemplate the Eucharist in a public and communal way. This practice not only reinforces individual faith, but also strengthens the sense of community and belonging among the participants. Theology and practice come together to create a worship experience that is both personal and universal. The theological contributions to Corpus Christi continue to inspire and guide the faithful today. Each hymn, each prayer, each theological reflection is an invitation to deepen our understanding and appreciation of the Eucharistic mystery. And as we prepare to explore the construction of the Cathedral of Orvieto, it is important to remember that each stone, each work of art, and each chant resonates with the echo of the theological contributions that gave shape and meaning to this feast. The theology of Corpus Christi is a living testament to the faith and devotion that continue to shape and inspire Christian life. The Cathedral of Orvieto is one of the most impressive and significant monuments of religious architecture in Europe. Its construction, begun in 1290, was a direct response to the Eucharistic miracle of Bolsena. Imagine the grandeur of such an ambitious project, conceived to house the blood-stained corporal, one of Christianity's most precious relics. The cathedral is not just a building but an expression of faith and devotion, a true festival of Christ in stone and glass, celebrating salvation and the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. The location of the Cathedral of Orvieto, perched atop a hill, offers a majestic view of the city and its surroundings. This strategic position was not chosen by chance. It symbolizes the elevation of faith and devotion. The cathedral, with its richly decorated facade and imposing towers, is visible from afar, attracting pilgrims and visitors from all over. Imagine the emotion of climbing the hill, watching the cathedral grow in size and splendor, a journey that reflects the spiritual pilgrimage in search of salvation and connection with the divine. The architecture of the Cathedral of Orvieto is a testament to the skill and dedication of the artisans of the time. From the intricate mosaics and sculptures that adorn its facade to the colorful stained glass windows that illuminate its interior, every detail was carefully planned to inspire and elevate the spirit. The mosaics, in particular, depict biblical scenes and miraculous events, including the miracle of Bolsena. Walking through the cathedral's corridors is like traversing a visual narrative of faith, where each image and symbol reinforces the message of salvation and the presence of Christ. Inside the cathedral, the blood-stained corporal of Bolsena is preserved in a magnificent reliquary. This sacred artifact is the spiritual heart of the cathedral, attracting the faithful who come to venerate it and contemplate the miracle it represents. Imagine the feeling of standing before such a powerful relic, sensing the connection to the past and the divine presence. For many, this experience is a tangible confirmation of faith and an opportunity to renew their devotion. The reliquary, with its beauty and significance, is a powerful symbol of salvation and the festival of Christ. The construction of the Cathedral of Orvieto was not just an architectural feat, but also a community endeavor. The dedication and resources of many people were needed to raise this monument to faith. The cathedral became a focal point for the community, a place where people gathered to celebrate, pray, and find spiritual comfort. Think about how the construction of a building can unite a community, creating bonds of solidarity and devotion. The Cathedral of Orvieto is a living testament to the power of collective faith and the spirit of collaboration. Today, the Cathedral of Orvieto continues to be a center of pilgrimage and devotion. Its timeless beauty and rich history attract visitors from all over the world, each seeking a connection with the divine and a deeper understanding of the Eucharistic mystery. And as we prepare to conclude this journey through the history of Corpus Christi, the cathedral reminds us that faith, like a grand building, is constructed with care, dedication, and love. The story of the Cathedral of Orvieto is an invitation for all of us to continue building and strengthening our own faith, one brick at a time. Now that you know the story of Corpus Christi, reflect on how this celebration can strengthen your faith and inspire positive changes in your life. Think about the depth of your belief and how it can be lived more intensely, perhaps by participating in a procession or visiting a church. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to continue exploring fascinating topics like this, becoming part of our community of faith and discovery.